Hi, class. So here we continue our discussion on your outline, on your persuasive speech outline, and we had talked about the attention step, the need step, satisfaction, and we're getting to a visualization step. So I just want you to hear this video just like you were doing it in class, and then hopefully by this time you're kind of done with your writing of attention step, need step, and your satisfaction step, and now you are getting into the visualization step. So in this step, I'm going to do a screen share and show you. Give me a second here, and I won't make this video too long. Here we go. Right. All right, this is visualization class. And this is what I would like to tell you, that when you're doing visualization, as the name implies, you will have to provide perhaps a strategy of a negative visualization and positive visualization, kind of telling them, what are the good things that will happen if if the audience adopts your plan or your product or your idea or your philosophy. What are the good things that will happen as a result of this? You can start with the good things and just talk about the good things, and you don't necessarily have to talk about the bad things. But a lot of people do what they do is they do a combination of good visualization and bad visualization. So but typically the audience doesn't want to kind of indulge or be in a negative zone for too long. No one does, right? So what you can do is you can talk about the negative things that will happen if the audience does not accept your plan, proposal, idea, product, right? And then just talk about it a little bit, briefly touch it, and then talk about all the good things that will happen. So you can again talk about the negative visualization, or things, negative visualization here. Bad things that will happen if they do not adopt your position or your idea or your product. Okay. And don't, again, very briefly, just touch on it. Just touch on this point and then quickly move to all the good things that will happen. People love to know about all the good things, all right? People want to feel positive. So positive visualization. All right, that's it. Then talk about all the wonderful things that will happen if they adopt your position. Okay, so that's visualization for you. Again, I would probably do about maybe 60 seconds of this. Maybe 60 to 90 seconds. Again, plan it out, okay? I do think that you need to work on the need section of your persuasive speech the most, okay? So after this, after visualization, we will have the last step, which is satisfaction, okay? And I'm sorry, which is action. And this is kind of, as I've mentioned to you, it's like the final nail on the coffin's head. Like, you got to seal the deal. How do you seal the deal? All right. So you seal the deal by asking them to sign up. Just seal the deal here. So you seal the deal by asking them to sign up for your program or join your movement, sign up for your program, or, make an initial payment for your cause, initial donation for your cause. Sign a petition. These are some of the ways that you can get them to take an action. Okay, you can, if it's a product, then you can ask them to buy the product and kind of incentivize them. If it's a program or idea, that you're talking about, see how many you need to organize a movement, get people to sign up and join your movement. Maybe it could be a walk to some place, or it could be creating a group on social media, get them to vote, get them to get into your group, sign up for a particular program, sign a petition if you need people's signature to kind of get a group of people who believe in your cause, and then you take that petition to the lawmaker. Lots of people do it that way, and you can sign a petition. So you got to at this step, this is the last step, and this really, there are two things, in this Monroe's motivated sequence, which makes it persuasive. The need step and the final step is the action step. Action step, you have to seal the deal. All right. So you do this to kind of get them on your side. And it clearly shows that you made an impact, so much so that they are buying your idea, or they're buying your product, or they're joining your movement. So how do you do that? Okay. So that's it. These are the two things that we missed. And I told you I'm just going to take about a few minutes to talk about it. So again, this one should be very, it should be about 30 seconds. That's it, 30 seconds. The whole speech is it's 5 minutes. So again, judiciously cover it. As I mentioned to you, the need step should actually takes the longest, and then satisfaction is short, visualization will be longer, and then attention step and the action step. All right. So this is what I want to share with you. At this moment, again, I'm just asking you to just write your narrative based on these sequence of steps, the Monroe's motivated sequence. This whole written part of your speech should be about between, I'm going to write it here for you. So it should be an outline. I won't call it an outline. I'll call it as draft of a speech script. All right. So speech script should be about 750 to 1,000 words. Okay. Script and 1,000 words. And if you have much lesser words, that's fine with me, as long as it fits nicely, as long as you have a good narrative, it makes sense, you're persuasive enough, there's strong reasoning, and all of that. You do it with a nicely, not in a very, very rushed way, and not too super slowly, right? In a good pace. You maintain a good pace and do it for 5 minutes. I have this word count, kind of just giving you an idea. I'm not going to measure the word counts. Okay. All right. So that's it. Class, I would look forward to reading your outline. And after that, we'll be meeting on Wednesday, and then we'll be in our breakout rooms, and I will be actually looking at all your outlines and then giving you my personal feedback, and then you'll also get feedback from your peers. There's one little thing, and this is that, and here my lecture actually ends here, but there's some additional, I looked at a speech and I kind of wanted to talk to you about it, which might help you even further. So this is something that I have for you. Let me do a stop share here and kind of pull it up. And if we had time, we could have done that in class, but then wanted to kind of use this time to show this to you. This is an little bit of additional knowledge, kind of giving you an additional example. So here we go. This is a TED Talk, and I want you to listen to this TED Talk. In terms of time frame, this is quite good. It's about 5 minutes, 33 seconds, which is pretty much your timeline, right? And I wanted you to hear this and see how the Monroe's motivated sequence kind of fits here. So let's start the speech. Here we go.
Whatever it is, must be pretty important. As I traveled to apartment. What's in the box? Whatever it is, must be pretty important, because I've traveled with it, moved it from apartment to apartment to apartment. Sound familiar? Did you know that we Americans have about 3 times the amount of space we did 50 years ago? 3 times. So you'd think with all this extra space, we'd have plenty of room for all our stuff, right? Nope. There's a new industry in town, a $22 billion, 2.2 billion square foot industry, that of personal storage. So we've got triple the space, so we become such good shoppers that we need even more space. So where does this lead? Lots of credit card debt, huge environmental footprints, and perhaps not coincidentally, our happiness levels flatline over the same 50 years. Well, I'm here to suggest there's a better way, that less might actually equal more. I bet most of us have experienced at some point the joys of less. College, your dorm, traveling in a hotel room, camping, where you got basically nothing, maybe a boat. Whatever it was for you, I bet that among other things, this gave you a little more freedom, a little more time. So I want to suggest that less stuff and less space are going to equal smaller footprint. It's actually a great way to save you some money, and it's going to give you a little more ease in your life. So I started a project called Life Edited at lifeedited.org to further this conversation and to find some great solutions in this area. First up, crowdsourcing my 420 square foot apartment in Manhattan with partners Mutopo and Juvoto.com. I wanted it all. Home office, sit down dinner for 10, room for guests, and all my kite surfing gear. With over 300 entries from around the world, I got it, my own little jewel box. By buying a space that was 420 square feet instead of 600, immediately I'm saving 200 grand. Smaller space is going to make for smaller utilities, save some more money there, but also a smaller footprint. And because it's really designed around an edited set of possessions, my favorite stuff, and really designed for me, I'm really excited to be there. So how can you live little? 3 main approaches. First of all, you need to edit ruthlessly. We've got to clear the arteries of our lives. And that shirt that I haven't worn in years, it's time for me to let it go. We've got to cut the extraneous out of our lives, and we've got to learn to stem the inflow. We need to think before we buy. Ask ourselves, is that really going to make me happier? Truly? By all means, we should buy and own some great stuff, but we want stuff that we're going to love for years, not just stuff. Secondly, our new mantra, small is sexy. We want space efficiency. We want things that are designed for how they're used the vast majority of the time, not that rare event. Why have a 6-burner stove when you rarely use 3? So we want things that nest. We want things that stack. We want to digitize. You can take paperwork, books, movies, and you can make it disappear. It's magic. Finally, we want multifunctional spaces and housewares. A sink's combined with a toilet. A dining table becomes a bed, same space. A little side table stretches out to seat 10. In the winning Life Edited scheme in a render here, we combine a moving wall with transformer furniture to get a lot out of the space. Look at the coffee table. It grows in height and width to seat 10. My office folds away, easily hidden. My bed just pops out of the wall, 2 fingers. Guests move the moving wall, have some fold down guest beds. And of course, my own movie theater. So I'm not saying that we all need to live in 420 square feet, but consider the benefits of an edited life. Go from 3,000 to 2,000, from 1,500 to 1,000. Most of us, maybe all of us, are here pretty happily for a bunch of days with couple bags, maybe small space, hotel room. So when you go home and you walk through your front door, take a second and ask yourselves, could I do with a little life editing? Would that give me a little more freedom? Maybe a little more time? What's in the box? It doesn't really matter. I know I don't need it. What's in yours? Maybe, just maybe, less might equal more. So let's make room for the good stuff.
All right, class. So you heard this speech, and I wanted to see how it maps out with the Monroe's motivated sequence that we discussed. Okay, so if I and you can actually look it up, less stuff, more happiness, and you get the whole transcript here, and you can see how the outline has been written. So clearly, I mean, just to go back here, I will say that right here, he starts with the box, right? So it's an when you think about the first step, attention step, and I said that the first thing is that you need to have two goals. You need to first create a kind of a bond with the audience, and create a mood for the audience, right? So here, clearly, the bond with the audience happened through something that most of us are familiar with. So it kind of makes you feel that, oh, you know what, I've done this, or I know my dad does it, or I know that my friend's been doing this. Oh my God, how many boxes does she have in her basement? And she hasn't actually opened any of them, but she won't let it go. So I'm sure in your life, somebody who's been doing this, or maybe you doing it yourself. So it kind of got a laugh out of the audience, right? So that's the attention step. And I kind of told you that you got to create a bond with the audience. And this is the way he did it, through humor. There was a mood there. There was, created humor out of something that he said, which most people can relate to, right? So that's the attention step, and that kind of fits the bill. The second step, which I told you is one of the most important steps, he did talk about the need. But interestingly, in this speech, didn't get into too much of details. He really didn't tell us, kind of talked about it, for sure, talked about credit card debt, environmental footprints, happiness, all of that. He talked about that, if you are doing this, and he had some kind of visuals as well. But he said, if you're doing this, if you're getting more and more clutter in your life, you are financially, of course, it's not helping you. So in terms of financial safety, going back to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, that's being impacted. Happiness, self-actualization and happiness is not there. You don't feel fulfilled. You're doing all this to feel happy, but you're actually not feeling happier. Then it talks about environmental footprint, which again goes to, in terms of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, its environmental factors is you need to have a good, clean environment for you to live. So it's kind of a basic need now for us to have a sustainable environment for us to live. So this is getting into you're building up on carbon footprint, and it's not good for us to survive. So he talks about that, but you can see that he doesn't really get into a lot of depth. He kind of touches on it, and the needs section, which I have told you that you got to really emphasize the need, has not been done has not been done with a lot of time, or hasn't really expanded on that. But what he does is he talks about his project, which is his life editing, is a satisfaction step, that he talks about how you can clean up your clutter, and how you can edit your life. In other words, take the extra out of your life and make your life much more simple, much more minimalistic. That's his idea. So he puts that in the third step. He does what I can say is that he expands that. And how do you edit your life? He creates that through visuals. So you can say that he talks a lot about the positive things that will happen if you are going to edit your life. I personally did not see that as a huge motivating factor, because I didn't have a point of comparison. I may not want to live in a 400 square feet house. I might find that whole idea extremely difficult for me, right? I may not be able to imagine myself in that. And though he does have a counter argument, he says that I'm not saying that all you guys need to get into a 400 square feet apartment. But if you're living in a 3,000 square feet house, then think about moving to a 2,000. Or if you're living in a 2,000 square feet house, think about moving to a 1,000. He does have that counter argument. But I kind of lost him there. He did gave us a great details about how he has edited his life. It didn't personally appeal to me as much, because I just felt that it is hard for me to do with my family situation, with I'm the number of people in my family. I will not be able to do this. However, I would have been more persuaded if he did talk about the need part of it, okay? That how much of money are we spending on useless things, right? Holiday deck, not useless, but holiday, every buying seasonal items every year, buying packaging items, buying, endlessly fast fashion, right? So many things that we do on a daily basis. I think he could have said that. He could have talked about the things that we do on a daily basis that most people do, all right? And I would have been able to identify with him much more, or with his reasoning much more than getting into how he has cleaned up his apartment and how his table works and how his how guest beds are organized there and how it's neat and clean. It didn't make a big appeal for me, and I'm telling you the reason why, because I felt disconnected. I think there was a lot of visualization in terms of how his plan has worked out, but this is not the visualization that I was expecting. I would have, for him to make this speech persuasive, he could have told me the things that might happen if we don't take a charge on the clutter that we have created for ourselves. And after saying that, looking at the positive visualization, things that work out well, things which he did touch on, for example, the fact that if you have the things that you love the most in the house, you'll probably feel very excited and happy about it every day, that you have the best things, right? So he does talk about it, but I think he could have explained it a little bit more. So what are the good things that will happen in terms of positive visualization? The fact that I will be spending less money on online shopping, or I'll be I'll be able to use that money to go on vacations. So those are certain things that most people want to do, but yet cannot do because of this mindless spending. We're spending money and mindless clutter. So I think that should have been the part of visualization, more of positive things that will happen and negative things that will happen, will happen if we really do not, if we do not, or if we do agree with his position on editing our life based on clutter. So less stuff, more happiness. Okay, so that's, I think, I'm thinking about the need step wasn't very developed. The visualization step wasn't. Could have been better. And finally, the action step, I don't think he's asked us there wasn't any concrete step. For example, I'm thinking, and I'm just thinking aloud, like, for example, if you would like to donate, today, would you like to, we are going to organize a charity, and if you could give, 5 things that you feel are in the box and you're not going to use it. Let's start from there, okay? Or creating a plan of actually making a plan for donation. 5 things that you need to donate every month, all right? So that would be a concrete action, right? Or thinking about, doing things that can clear the clutter. It could be paper clutter. What are the things that you're doing, in terms of getting rid of your paper, just your physical paperwork, and organizing things on your digitally. If you're making a step, like create a journal or do this, and you get you get an incentive of something that he provides as a reward. So those things would make the speech, the action step would have been much more. I don't think he had he kind of leaves you with a question, and he doesn't really ask you to take an action. Now, again, there is nothing wrong about the steps that he's taken. I just feel that if he had worked on these few things, this speech would have been more persuasive. Having said that, I've given you the points. All right, adaptive attention, needs, satisfaction, visualization, action step. see what applies to you. Okay. I don't want you to feel kind of stunted or, kind of say, oh my God, I don't have anything in this very, I don't think I'm struggling with this step. So I don't know how to move on to the next step. I just want you to kind of, use that template, but don't think about it very strictly. Whatever flow comes to you naturally, we'll be able to, this whole speech, it came to him. I'm sure he followed the organizational pattern, but I was able to kind of use the template and see that these are the places where he was weak. All right. So I want you to, if any, think about the sequence of steps that we talked about, the 5 steps. But I don't want you to restrict yourself. Okay. However you feel, you want to arrange it, or there's a flow in your narrative, and you think that looking at that structure kind of stops the flow. I don't want you to feel that way. Okay. I just want you to write a nice narrative based on, of course, I've already talked to you about the 5 things that kind of will help you write a persuasive speech, but do it the way you want to. Okay. I'm kind of flexible about it. Once I review your speech, and if I see that, this needs to be, I can say that, hey, Gabby, can you work on the need step? I think you need to fill in a little bit more. Or, the visualization step, I think you need to provide us with all the good things that will happen because of this step. Why don't you do a little bit of research and add this? Action step, you got to concretize it. I don't see that the action as pretty, as a viable option, or I don't see a strong action. Why don't you make a change there? So I'll probably, with whatever I have, I'll probably ask you to make changes. If it is required. If it doesn't require, I'm not going to ask you to make changes. All right. So I want to share this with you, and you can have, actually, if you go to this site, you can just go to transcript, and then once you click that, this will automatically come. You'll see it. This is about maybe 700 words. I actually didn't do a cut, copy, paste, but I think it's around, let me just do it in front of you. Let's see. Let's see. All right, here. Let's see how many words did it come to. This is about 5 minutes, 30 seconds in terms of time, which is roughly about, all right. Okay, I wasn't way off. It's about 772 words with time talks and all of that. It's about 700 words, okay, for a 5-minute speech. So I think you should be good. His pace wasn't that, fast or that slow. I think he had a pretty good pace. All right, class, I look forward to, hopefully this was helpful. I kind of wanted to go through one speech and show you how the outline, how the steps that I have discussed kind of fits or does not fit with this particular speech, and what could he have done to make it more persuasive. And I went back to that pattern and said that, hey, if he would have talked more about the needs, then maybe if he didn't talk about too much about what he has done in his apartment and talk about, because that wasn't very applicable for me. I couldn't picture myself there. But could give us examples of what any average person can do in their lives, that would have made it much more relatable. So I kind of critiqued that and showed you what worked and what did not work. So thank you very much. I wanted to keep this short, but you don't have to watch the whole video of this one. But hopefully this was helpful, and I will see you with your narratives on Wednesday. Thank you.